So sometimes people just go over and over and over what happened, and they just keep being sort of almost wallowing in it. And I don't want to be blaming and devaluing, but it's like they just go over it and they don't move on. And so I think one of the challenges there is you want to be supportive, and you want to validate, and you want to hear and listen, but you don't want to deeply, we know from brain science now that you're grooving that trauma more and more, the more they tell the story in the same way and relive it in the same way. So for me, I like to have them write out the whole story. I mean, there's some great research. James Pennebaker has written a book called Writing Yourself Open, and a bunch of research has been done that there's something powerful about writing by longhand, not typing, but writing out your traumatic memory. And I have them do it until, as Jamie Pennebaker did, till they feel that the whole story has been told, as much as they remember and as much as they can articulate. And I have them do it several times until they're really sure. They can revise it. Nobody else should see it. It's just private for them, but write it all out. And when they feel it's really good, it might take 3 or 4 times to write it, 5 times, 2 times, whatever it takes. Then we discuss this. I want them to find some way to get rid of it. Burn it, drop it in the toilet, bury it, somehow leave it somewhere. Get rid of it, distance yourself from it. So it's all written out. Usually it's tear it up, burn it, bury it, so nobody else can see it, but it's gone. It's not like it's totally gone from their life, but for some reason, like years ago, I heard this interview on National Public Radio, which is our national radio here in the States. And there was a journalist named Bob Simon who, during the first Gulf War, he was covering the war as an American correspondent, and he got captured by the Iraqi troops, and they found out he was Jewish, and they basically tortured him. They beat him, they hurt him, but also they would take a gun and pretend like they were going to kill him, and it was an empty chamber, and he would think he was going to die each time. So it's quite traumatizing. And so finally he was liberated from his captors, and he survived the experience, and he went on, but he really had a lot of post-traumatic stress symptoms. About 3 or 4 years later, he decided to write a book about the experience, and he wrote this whole book. The book is done, it's published, and I hear him on this interview on National Public Radio, and the interviewer has read the book and said, you suffer from a lot of post-traumatic nightmares and symptoms, and is that still happening? And he said, no, actually, I didn't even think this would happen, but as soon as the book was published, they went away. I haven't had one since then. It's like the story is over there, and I don't have to carry it anymore. I don't have to remember it anymore. And I think that's true for some of my clients. As soon as the story is written out in the right form, that is, they feel it really represents the experience, there's something that settles in some way. Not everybody, because it doesn't work for everybody, but it works for enough people. I think it's a really good technique of write it, read it over, write it again, read it over until you feel you got it right, then burn it typically is what I have to do, typically if they will.